The pregnant widow moved into the house. Everyone feared until the floor spoke back. I know this sounds impossible, but I swear every word I'm about to share happened exactly as I'm telling you in Oak Springs, Arkansas, during the autumn of 2018. Before I continue this true supernatural account, subscribe to hear the full story that forever changed my understanding of life and death. The floorboards creaked with whispers that carried unrecognizable secrets, the air thick with the weight of history, wrapping around me like a heavy cloak. Shadows twisted eagerly around my swollen belly, as if they were anticipating the life I carried within. I often felt the cold touch of the air, causing my skin to prickle. There was a haunting scent that lingered, damp earth intertwined with the faint sweetness of long-dead flowers, a reminder of life lost. I tasted rust in my mouth during sleepless nights, a metallic tang that echoed my despair after losing my husband to a tragic accident just months before. Alone and heavily pregnant, I had believed this house might become a sanctuary for my shattered heart. Instead, it quickly revealed itself as a prison, filled with the dark, watchful presence of shadows that loomed in every corner, their attention weighing heavily upon me. Each creak of the floor made me jump at unseen noises. The whispers echoed louder with each haunting night. It was as if the house was alive, pleading with me like forgotten souls desperate for recognition. My heart raced, feeling exposed and disconnected from a world that had once felt safe. What I had thought was a refuge turned into a place of torment, steeped in a sinister energy that kept me on edge. Then, as if the house sensed my plight, the lights flickered, casting ominous shadows that danced on the walls. It was in that moment I knew. The house wasn't just haunted. It was alive with the memories of those who had come before me, their stories intertwining with my own. I recalled my grandmother's tales about the land, rich with history and dark pasts, stories of lost children still searching for their mothers. A strange connection to their grief took root in me, urging me to listen to the whispers trapped within these walls. You must listen to the whispers of the past. They hold the key to survival, my grandmother once told me. It was during one desperate night, gripping the banister and staring wide-eyed at shadows, that the weight of her words crashed over me like an unexpected wave. I recognized that my pregnancy might have stirred something within these ancient walls, an echo yearning to be expressed. But my fear tightened like a noose around my throat as I stood at the precipice of confrontation. "Who are you? What do you want?" I called into the darkness, my voice trembling as it sliced through the heavy silence. The floor creaked back at me, responding in a pattern that felt eerily urgent, compelling me not to ignore it. A protective instinct surged through me, urging me to uncover the dark history hidden within this house, lest my unborn child suffer fate worse than death. As I began piecing together the fragments spoken by the walls and creaky floorboards, I uncovered 3 chilling revelations. Remnants of a family who had met a violent end, their sorrows etched into the very wood. A mother who lost her child, driven by betrayal to seek vengeance. And ties that bound my own fate to theirs, whispering tales of sacrifice and grief. I began to see the shadows not as haunting phantoms, but as lost souls desperate for closure. Just when I thought I could manage this newfound understanding, a storm rolled in one night. The air thickened with chaos, pulling at my nerves. Terrified, I backed away as jagged shadows stretched toward me, clawing at my instincts. In that terrifying moment, I knew that one wrong move could lead to tragedy. My faith in facing this darkness wavered, threatening to crumble under pressure. But within this turmoil, I recognized the haunting truth. The spirits were not my enemies. They were crying out for acknowledgement, for justice. When I finally deciphered their stories, their desperate struggles for love and family, I felt a welcome strength emerge from my own vulnerability. I had to embrace the darkness, for what I once feared was now intertwined with my fate. What we perceive as hauntings often reveal the nature of our fears and the sacrifices we must face. I whispered into the shadows. Standing in that once dreaded place, I felt a profound shift, a connection that revealed the house as a sanctuary rather than a prison. The echoes surrounding me became my allies, guiding me through the darkness. I had learned that what once terrified me tucked secrets beneath its haunting veneer, and now it promised to cradle my child in shadows that intended not for horror, but for protection and love. Standing in that once dreaded place, I felt a profound shift, a connection that revealed the house as a sanctuary rather than a prison. The echoes surrounding me became my allies, guiding me through the darkness. I had learned that what once terrified me hid secrets beneath its haunting veneer, and now it promised to cradle my child in shadows that intended not for horror, but for protection and love. My thoughts raced as I absorbed this transformative moment, the air pulsing with energy. I felt an urgent need to understand the depths of this house's history. If only you could tell me your stories, I whispered into the gloom, every word tinged with longing. The answer wasn't spoken, but manifested in the flickering light. The shadows around me began to dance, swirling and shifting as if they were trying to convey something significant. I felt shivers course down my spine, a mixture of trepidation and anticipation. My heart pounded as I focused on the shadows swirling before me, and then, right before my eyes, they crept into a corner of the room, forming a shape that resembled a figure, vaguely human but ethereal. "Help us," it whispered, its voice barely audible, like a breeze brushing through the leaves. I knew then that this was a plea from beyond. "What do you need?" I asked, breathless. The figure pointed downward toward the creaking floorboards, as if urging me to look closer. "Below," the voice echoed again, resonating through the room like an ancient bell tolling in the night. I knelt, my hands trembling as I brushed my fingers against the old wood. Each grain felt alive beneath my touch, pulsating with stories begging to be heard. The temperature dropped sharply around me, and I blinked quickly, feeling cold sweat glistening down my back. I drew a deep breath to steady myself. If the floorboards held secrets, I had to uncover them. With my heart racing, I began to dig through the cluttered corners of the room. Old newspapers, forgotten trinkets, and remnants of a life lived filled the space, each item layered with dust that danced in the sparse light. As I removed a small, rotting trunk from the corner, the atmosphere shifted, heavy with expectation. The air thickened, and I could sense the weight of history pressing down on me. I lifted the lid and gasped. Inside lay a collection of yellowed letters, each one stained with time and sorrow. My fingers brushed across them reverently. As I pulled a letter from the pile, an intolerable sorrow numbed my chest. The ink faded, but the words calling out, vivid in their despair. "I cannot forgive him," one letter read, scrawled hastily. "He took everything from me. I will make him pay." The weight of these confessions wrapped around me, each line ringing true like a mournful hymn. It was a mother's heartbreak, her agony palpable in that moment. I realized this was the voice of the spirit, the very heart that had cried for understanding. "What happened to you?" I whispered, feeling the air thrum with energy, almost like a heartbeat echoing around me. Suddenly, the letters slipped from my fingers, fluttering like trapped birds to the ground. The shadows around me pulsed, encircling me in a protective embrace, even as I recognized the depths of pain woven into those words. Then, as if in response to my question, the air vibrated with weighty silence, broken only by faint echoes of what could have been. "I lost them," the voice murmured again, filled with unimaginable sorrow. "I lost everything." I closed my eyes, allowing the words to wash over me. In that deep moment of connection, I felt a warmth settle in my heart, a flicker of empathy for the spirit that wandered these halls with a sorrow that mirrored my own. I understood the ache of loss all too well. "If you want forgiveness, I can help you find it," I offered, my voice carried forth with determination. It was a promise, a declaration of my intent to not only mend my own heart, but to bridge the void between us. I needed to piece together the shattered history of this place, its sorrow, its loss, and the warning it held for me and my child. As I stepped back, a beam of moonlight filtered through the window, illuminating the letters scattered around me. In that light, I could see the outlines of shapes moving through the shadows, swirling like a gentle tide around my feet. I was no longer afraid. Instead, I felt a sense of purpose igniting within me. "Tell me what I need to know," I urged the shadows, unleashing the resolve threaded within my soul. The house responded, its very walls vibrating with a trust that had not existed before. As the whispers gathered strength, they filled the space with truths that resonated, creating a tapestry of voices, lost souls corresponding with my own fears, hopes, and the future I desperately sought to protect. And in that moment of communion, the shadows no longer felt threatening. They were allies, guiding me to uncover the truths buried beneath the weight of grief. "I will not let you go unheard," I swore, feeling the presence around me, the lifeblood of the house, all watching, waiting, and finally willing to share the burden of their stories. I would be their voice. The moment hung in the air like a whisper, filled with possibility. I stood there, surrounded by the shadows that had once seemed so menacing, my heart racing with anticipation and dread. "What could you tell me?" I breathed, my voice barely a murmur above the silence that enveloped me. The house responded immediately. The temperature dropped again, sending chills through my body. The scent of damp earth and sweet flowers deepened, merging together to create an almost floral perfume tinged with decay. The shadows began to form around me, swirling, then coalescing into a shape that seemed to emerge from the darkened corners, becoming clearer with each passing moment. I dared to step closer, my senses heightened. The entity took form, a woman, her features ethereal yet defined, her face clouded with sorrow, but radiating an invitation of understanding. I felt her presence wash over me, wrapping me in a blanket of warmth mixed with an undertone of desperation. "Please," she whispered, her voice echoing like a breeze through shattered glass. "Find them. You must find them before it's too late." Her eyes, deep pools of anguish, locked onto mine. I understood she was not just asking, she was pleading for me to act. "Who do I need to find?" I pressed, driven by an urgent need for clarity. "What happened to you?" The atmosphere shifted again, thick with emotion. I felt a heartbeat, not my own, reverberate through the room, the pulse of the house, the echo of lost lives woven into its structure. "There are secrets buried beneath the floor," she pointed, her finger extending toward one corner. "Uncover the truth, and I will finally be free." I hesitated, the weight of her words striking a chord deep within me. Even as I felt that familiar rush of fear, my maternal instinct kicked in. This wasn't just about the past, it was about protecting my future. I had to face whatever lay beneath. "I'll find out," I promised, watching as the spirit nodded in gratitude, the sorrow in her eyes softening slightly, revealing flickers of hope. With newfound resolve, I knelt beside the spot she had indicated, tracing the edges of the floorboards with my fingers. Memories of anguish reverberated through me. I could almost hear the cries of a child, a desperate wail that resonated through the very wood itself. It was as if I could feel the child's longing vibrating through my fingertips, mixing with my own growing anxiety. I dug deeper into the corner and found a small crack in the floor. My heart raced. I could see glimpses of dark, dusty space beneath the house. I pried the floorboard up, the nails screeching in protest as if they were aware of the secrets they were guarding. Dust enveloped me, swirling like the shadows encapsulating my thoughts. Gazing down into the gap, I spotted something gleaming. A small bonnet, aged with time but adorned with a delicate lace trimming. As I pulled it from its resting place, a surge of energy rattled through me, almost overwhelming. This wasn't just an artifact. It was a tether to the past, a link to a young life lost, perhaps the very soul whose cries had resonated in the recesses of my heart. "Is this yours?" I spoke softly to the air, the delicate fabric brushing against my palm. "Is this what you want me to find?" My question hung in the air, and the temperature dropped again, this time accompanied by a gentle sigh that seemed to sweep through the room, carrying both relief and lingering sorrow. A flicker of shadow danced in front of me, forming into the outline of the woman once more. Her lips curved downward, holding both gratitude and loss. "Find the child," she implored. "Only then can I rest." My mind raced, entwining the past and present in a desperate quest for understanding. "If I find the child, will you reveal to me the truth of your sorrow?" I asked, feeling a fire ignite within. It was a bargain, a mutual understanding forged in the depths of tragedy. Another pulse reverberated through the space, the shadows quivering with life. I could almost sense their encouragement, their energy fueling my resolve. I clutched the bonnet tightly, its delicate fabric offering me comfort against the heaviness that encroached upon my heart. "Once I uncover the truth, I'll make sure your story is told," I vowed, and heard her voice intertwine with others, the whispers of the lost souls weaving a tapestry of unfulfilled promises and regrets clung to the very air around us. As I continued to probe deeper into the dark corners beneath the floor, a sense of purpose coalesced within me. "You aren't alone," I murmured to her spirit, aware that the path to reconciliation required me to dig up more than just forgotten memories. It meant dissecting the pain buried within this place and bringing it to the light. Then, as if echoing my determination, the shadows coalesced into a swirling mass, an affirmation of alliance. They would work with me, guide me, pull me closer to the truth. "Together, we will break the cycle," I reinforced, feeling uplifted by the support surrounding me. I would not allow my fear to deter me any longer. In that moment, I realized I wasn't just fighting for the spirit of the woman or the child lost. My battle was for my own future, my child's future. Understanding this ignited a flame within me, the light of hope rising to dispel fear, appointing me as both advocate and protector. And with the shadows at my back and the specters of the past urging me onward, I felt emboldened to discover the truths hidden within this haunted sanctuary. With renewed determination coursing through my veins, I carefully considered the paths that lay before me. Each step would draw me deeper into the past, the echoes of sorrow and the specters waiting for solace. The bonnet felt heavier now, as if carrying the weight of the child it once belonged to, urging me to act swiftly. I stood, glancing around the room, the shadows continuing to pulse and quiver. "Where do I start?" I asked, my question hanging in the air. The response came swiftly, a gust of chill wrapping around me, hinting at the room's history hidden beneath layers of dust and neglect. Another light flicker illuminated the walls, casting fleeting shadows that seemed to point toward a family portrait hanging crookedly over a dilapidated cabinet. The painting depicted a family, 4 smiling faces frozen in time, their happiness so palpable it felt like a lifeline reaching out to me. The mother held a small child, and beside them stood a man with strong features, clearly the father. "Is this you?" I whispered, drawing closer to the image, my heart pounding as I felt the energy shift. The woman's painted smile seemed to hold a secret. It flickered with something more than paint, a desperate plea perhaps. The shadows gathered around the portrait, bringing tears to my eyes as I felt their unending grief steal the few moments of serenity I could create. The weight of their story pressed heavily against me, and I shuddered at the thought of an innocent child bound within a tragedy that echoed through generations. The questions bubbled to the surface, merging sorrow with urgency. Where did they go? I pressed further, hoping for some revelation, some direction. The air surrounding me thickened, alive with emotion, and a soft breeze whispered, carrying the faint scent of sweet flowers again, flapping against the stagnant air of the room. I searched the area beneath the portrait, but discovered nothing. With a sigh, I needed to dig deeper. The voice of the spirit reigned in my mind, its continued call to uncover the truth propelling my desperation forward. Visions of the family danced around me, their joys, their hurts, hidden moments that lay beneath the surface of this home. Suddenly, I remembered the cellar, the entryway tucked away behind an old wooden door that had long been neglected. "Maybe there's something down there," I murmured as I rushed to the door, each hesitant step accompanied by the haunting memory of the spirits and their promises. As I opened the door, a musty odor billowed forth, the air thick and laden. A dark staircase descended into the abyss, the wooden steps creaking under my weight. Each step felt like a journey not only downward, but also into the very heart of sorrow. The darkness enveloped me like a shroud, but I pressed onward, my resolve igniting a spark of courage against the overwhelming weight of the unknown. With each footfall, I felt the shadows swirl like a protective cloak, coaxing me deeper into their world. "Stay with me," I murmured, bolstered by their presence. At the bottom, I was greeted by a dim light filtering through a window caked with dust. My eyes adjusted, and I scanned the cramped space littered with forgotten relics, broken furniture, faded photographs, and remnants of lives that had flickered out like candles in a storm. Against one wall, I noticed an old trunk, its surface adorned with scratches and the passage of time. Could this be the vessel holding the secrets of the past? I knelt in front of it, my heart racing, and fumbled with the rusty latch, which sprang open with a creak, echoing through the silence of the cellar. Inside, I discovered an array of belongings, more letters, old toys, and finally, something that made my breath catch, a small, tattered diary. Carefully, I pulled it from the trunk and held it close, feeling the weight of the world in my hands. This could be the key to understanding everything. As I thumbed through the pages, the delicate handwriting danced before my eyes like wisps of memory. Each entry spoke of joy, laughter, but also of despair. Grand visions of a family rooted in love turned dark by forces beyond their control. "The day she was born was the brightest of my life," one entry began, words spilling forth with poignant clarity. "I held her in my arms and vowed to protect her. I will never allow anyone to harm my family." The next few pages detailed a growing darkness creeping into their lives, the anguish of betrayal, whispers of secrets that threatened to tear their love apart. I could sense the weight of the mother's desperation, trying to navigate through the turmoil that spilt from every word. And then, amid a torrent of raw emotions, the entry ended abruptly. "I cannot stop what is coming. All I wanted was a normal life, to protect my child. But it seems fate has different plans." Tears stung my eyes, the revelation cutting deeper than I could have imagined. The horrifying realization gripped my heart. This was her story, the spirit I had felt so strongly. She had fought to protect her child, burdened by relentless betrayal that rippled through time. The final pages revealed her final plea, an urgency that spilled forth, urging whoever would read this to seek justice for her and her family. "If you know this story, you hold our hope in your hands." "I'll find your child," I vowed, clutching the diary as emotions surged within me. "I swear I will bring your story to light." At that moment, the shadows swirled violently around me, a whirlwind of energy that surged with strength and determination. It was as if the spirits were rallying, joining forces to support my promise, my mission transformed from mere survival to an urgent quest for justice. Suddenly, the earth trembled and the shadows converged, hanging thick in the air as whispers erupted into a cacophony of emotion. "Help us," they pleaded, each voice overlapping. building toward a crescendo that filled the cellar with vibrant energy. You are our hope. I closed my eyes, absorbing the collective power surrounding me. Together, we will uncover the truth, I resolved, and together, we will heal the wounds of the past. A sudden rush of air swept through the room, alive with fervent determination. The darkness no longer felt like an enemy. It was a force awakening the promise of rebirth. The rush of air had transformed, not into an escape, but into a conduit of the many voices within. I took a steadying breath, allowing the palpable energy to circulate around me, urging me to pursue my quest with unfaltering resolve. Holding the diary close to my heart, I felt an uncanny connection to the spirit, a bond woven from the same fabric of fear, love, and a painfully shared history. I knew now that this was more than just a haunted house. It was a sanctuary of sorrow and unfulfilled dreams, trapped in the web of time. Each shadow that roamed these halls concealed a fragment of the past, longing to be acknowledged, to be understood. I had taken up the mantle of a guardian, a harbinger of their stories, and I would weave their threads back into the tapestry of life. Tell me, what do I need to know? I whispered into the thickening darkness. The air shimmered with energy, and the shadows began to swirl, responding to my inquiry with an urgency that shot through the room. The whispers escalated, overlapping in a chorus of secrecy and longing, a unified plea for resolution. The walls seemed to pulse around me, pressing in as though resonating with the ache of time lost. I could feel the weight of their expectations, the torment of unanswered questions weighing heavily on my heart. Help us, the shadows echoed again, their voices connecting like a strand of an intricate web. Emboldened by their cries and the previous revelations, I found myself drawn back to the family portrait I had seen earlier. The faces painted with smiles held an irony that twisted in my gut, a reminder of the life that had once thrived within these walls, a semblance of normalcy masked by a catastrophic storm of darkness. With determination, I formulated a plan. I will uncover the truth, I promised, but I need to seek the roots of this darkness that threatens to destroy the very essence of this family. Rising from the cellar floor, I carefully placed the diary back in the wooden box and shut it securely. A sudden thought struck me. There had to be more information to dig up. If the darkness was, indeed, a manifestation of betrayal, it might hold secrets that had festered in the shadows, waiting only for a moment of clarity to be unveiled. With cautious yearning, I retraced my steps back to the main floor and scanned the house. I felt like I was hunting for ghosts, not only in the traditional sense, the stone-cold wraiths, but also in pieces of furniture, memories embedded in layers of dust and neglect. Evaluating every nook, I finally stumbled upon a creaky old staircase leading up to the attic. An old trunk there might hold what I was looking for, forgotten letters, remnants of love and loss that had lingered between the walls of this home. The staircase creaked ominously as I ascended. Each footfall echoed the weight of history ingrained in those wooden steps, my pulse quickening with every inch taken. I reached the top. The attic door cracked open, beckoning me with the promise of more revelations waiting just beyond. As I entered, the air grew heavy with dust particles, twinkling in the dim light, filtering through the small window. Rummaging through stacks of old newspapers, abandoned furniture, and worn-out boxes, I pressed forward. The attic seemed to hold its breath, whispering the unspoken stories that might finally unveil the truth. Beneath the loose floorboards, I detected an irregular thud, a sound that made the hairs on my neck stand on end. Rushing over, I carefully pried the floorboard away, revealing a concealed compartment. Water-damaged letters lay hidden beneath a wooden slab, their ink faded yet still legible. I brushed away the dust, revealing the names inscribed exquisitely, each letter carrying the weight of forgotten promises. As I unfolded the first letter, my heart raced. It was a declaration of love from the mother to her husband, revealing sentiments that wavered between affection and despair. Your absence pulls me into an abyss, it read. Each day stretches on like an eternity, and our daughter remains my beacon, but your shadows linger. Please, come home to us before the darkness consumes me whole. I felt an icy chill settle within the attic, wrapping itself around my heart. Betrayal had been the primary force driving them apart, a creeping darkness eroding the bonds that once held them together. The words dripped with emotional rawness, reflecting struggles I could painfully relate to. The following letters unfolded similar patterns, each voice more desperate than the last, highlighting the gnawing apprehension that had seeped into their family life. Whispers of secrets emerged through the pages, filled with accusations, miscommunications, and the suffocating fear that they were losing each other to an unseen force. I paused, my heart aching for them. What happened to bring such darkness so close? I pondered aloud. The attic remained silent, the shadows thickening once more, echoing my doubts back at me. But I couldn't relent, not now. Each page I turned exposed layers of betrayal, sorrow, and the warning that no one was safe in this house if the darkness went unchallenged. Then I reached the last letter, already crumpled as if it had been marked by time and anger. It was addressed not to her husband, but to a friend, a plea wrapped within a desperate confession. The shadows whisper at night, I fear for my child. If you find this letter, know our final moments were spent in dread. Help me protect her, it concluded, words trailing off into an ominous ripple. Sudden clarity struck me like a thunderbolt. I understood now. This darkness was not just a haunting. It was a force that had driven them apart, a pernicious entity manifesting as their fears and insecurities, consuming everything in its path. The shadows are built upon the fears we harbor within ourselves, I murmured, connecting the dots. This family's turmoil hadn't just come from betrayal within their relationships. The shadows had fed on their despair. I could feel the spirits grow restless around me, the energy pulsing like a living thing, demanding action. Baseless terror could no longer take root in my heart. I will not let fear dictate our fate, I exclaimed, a fresh determination welling up inside me. These shadows will not claim you or your child while I'm here. And then another flicker of something caught my eye near the corner of the attic. Buried under a stack of moth-eaten blankets lay a small, tarnished bell. Grasping it in my hand, I felt a tremor race through me, as if it held the memories of long-lost voices. With this, I sensed a way to confront the darkness. This bell might serve to summon the spirits together, binding them so they could unite against the forces that kept them from moving on. Returning to the main floor, I felt light where once darkness had twisted around me. The drive to uncover truths had ignited a fire, forcing the shadows to reconsider their stance. I now had tools, not only the diary, but the knowledge that love could serve as a beacon. I will confront whatever lurks beneath this house, I vowed, my heart thundering. If darkness arises again, I will use this bell to summon the spirits for one final stand. As I descended into the cellar once more, I felt the shadows stir, not as opposition, but as hopeful allies fueled by a vision of liberation. The energy pulsated, creating a symphony that played through the air around me, stirring the sentiments of those lost and bringing new hope. Together we will rise against this darkness, I shouted, my voice unwavering. The shadows thickened, swirling, wrapping around me with a fierce embrace, the power undeniable. The bell resonated within my grasp, a promise ringing out across the hollows of the house. I could surmise that we, the living and the lost, would join forces in pursuit of the truth. And as the energy surged, invigorated by our collective hope, I finally understood. I was not the only one seeking vengeance against the darkness. I was now part of a larger story, one that would transcend time and bind us all together. As the shadows gathered in solidarity, wrapping around me without dread, I felt encouraged by their presence, prepared to confront whatever ultimately lay at the end of this grueling journey. Together, we would forge our destinies, banishing the darkness once and for all. The shadows pulsated around me, a swirling mass of energy that echoed with the spirits, urging me onward. I raised the tarnished bell, feeling its chilling weight in my palm, and prepared to confront the darkness that had held sway over this household for far too long. "Spirits of the past," I called out, my voice resonant in the thick air. "Gather around me. Together, we will unveil the truth and banish the darkness." As if responding, the shadows began to morph, coiling and expanding, revealing ethereal figures drifting into a semblance of solidity. A mixture of hope and despair weaved through their forms, faces marked by sorrow, but burning with a desire to be free. I inhaled, readying myself as their collective energy surged, intermingling with my own resolve. "Show me the way," I urged, feeling the pulse of anticipation ripple through the air. The grip of nostalgia tightened around me, and I knew we were on the precipice of awakening something long buried. The floor beneath began to vibrate, a hum that resonated through my body. The shadows thrummed in tandem, guiding me toward a corner of the cellar where the weight of time seemed most pronounced. I felt a magnetic pull toward it, as if the very essence of the house urged me to uncover deeper truths hidden in its foundation. As I ventured closer, the outlines of the shadows grew stronger, agitating the air around me. Compelled by instinct, I knelt down and ran my fingers along the wooden planks of the floor. There, beneath the surface, a small latch waited, half concealed. My heart raced at the discovery. It felt as if the house had been hiding its secrets all along, waiting for someone brave enough to expose them. With hesitation and urgency, I pulled the latch, the board creaking open to reveal a dark cavity below. A rush of cool air escaped the hidden space, and I leaned in, my heart pounding as I scanned its contents. Inside lay a small box, aged but sturdy, and for a moment I could feel the spirits hovering around me, their energy vibrating with anticipation. Lifting it free, I felt the weight of history pressing down. "Let this be a testament to what's been endured," I whispered, my words imbued with fierce determination. As I opened the box, my breath caught in my throat. Within, I found a collection of letters, their edges frayed and ink faded. The first was addressed simply, "To my beloved." As I read through it, the writer poured their heart out, revealing deep emotional rifts, yet mingled with palpable love. They mentioned their child, a gleam of joy amidst an encroaching sense of unease. The haunting sense of something dark lurking in the background sent chills coursing through me. Every letter was a mixture of love and dread, chronicling the family's struggles against a shadow that seemed to gnaw at the edges of their lives. Betrayal and fear manifested into something sinister. "We cannot let it take her," one letter warned, the ink blotting in places where the writer's emotions had spilled onto the paper. I could almost feel the weight of their desperation grasping at my heart. Indistinct whispers surrounded me, a plea for liberation from despair. The shadows began to swirl more intensely as I fell deeper into the story laid out before me, each letter revealing secrets that echoed painfully with unfulfilled promises and lost dreams. As I delved further into the correspondence, a letter from the mother caught my attention. "This house bears witness to our anguish," it read. "I fear for my child's safety, for darkness descends when the sun falls, and the shadows taunt me with the memories of what was lost. If anyone finds this, know that hope is not far behind. One day, someone will come to set us free." The gravity of those words weighed heavily, and I felt tears stinging my eyes. "I'm here," I whispered fervently, gripping the bell tightly. "I will be the one to save you and your child." With newfound resolve, I rang the bell, letting its resonance echo through the space, merging with the stirring whispers of the spirits around me. "Together, we will confront whatever lurks beneath this house," I declared, my voice rising with conviction, the bell sounding a note of unity against the darkness. As shadows converged around me, they began to coalesce, forming distinct outlines, the mother and the child appearing as serene silhouettes, radiant in the gathered light. I could see the desperation on the woman's face transforming into hope, her soul intertwining with the very essence of the house. Then, a tremor shook the wood beneath me, and I caught a flicker of movement in the depths of the cellar. The air grew thick with tension, the shadows swirling more violently, and the energy crackled around me like a static charge, foreboding a storm. I felt it, a dark presence stirring, fueled by fear, refusing to relinquish its hold on the family. "Show yourself!" I cried out, pushing through the rising tide of energy. "Your reign over these innocent souls ends now." In that moment, the shadows burst forth with a collective, anguished wail. A monstrous figure of darkness and despair emerged, pulsating with the essence of dread and suffering that had infiltrated this home. It towered above me, its form shifting and contorting like smoke, eyes glowing with malevolence. "Foolish mortal," it thundered, the sound reverberating through the walls. "You think you can free them. I am their past, their fears. They cannot escape me." But I refuse to falter. "You feed on their misery and shadows. You are nothing without their pain," I shouted, clutching the bell, feeling its resonance align with the cries of the spirits rallying around me. The bell emitted a brilliant light, cutting through the darkness, illuminating the room with an unwavering glow. Together, we are not fearful. Their love binds them to this place, and it is more powerful than you can ever comprehend. As I rang the bell once more, the light intensified, expanding outward, forcing the darkness to recoil. The entity shrieked, bathed in the brilliant illumination. It was endless, the memories of each spirit merging to create an unstoppable wave. "Let their love break your hold," I shouted, channeling every ounce of love and hope into the bell's resonance. The darkness shrieked and twisted, the shadowed panels warping as reality itself seemed to bend. I watched as the spirits surged forward, melded in brilliant energy, cascading upon the dark force like waves crashing against a crumbling wall. The entity writhed, its form visibly destabilizing. Its cries turned to desperation. With one last thrust, the collective essence of the spirits merged with the light, hope and love engulfing the darkness, dismantling its hold in an explosion of luminescence. The room shook violently as the shadows split, dissipating into nothingness. As the echoes of the confrontation faded, I collapsed onto the floor, gasping for breath, my heart pounding. The weight of the entity had lifted, and the air in the cellar felt lighter, freer. In the residual glow, the spirits materialized once more, their forms now radiant with peace. The mother stepped forward, her visage softened and filled with gratitude. "You've given us the chance to rest," she whispered, her voice serene. "You've freed us." "I will always remember you," I replied, tears streaming down my cheeks. "You have shown me the power of love, the strength of family. Those bonds can never be vanquished by darkness." As they began to ascend, I felt the warmth of their energy wrap around me, a final embrace of love and appreciation. Like stardust, they shone brightly, disappearing into the ether with promises of peace where despair had once reigned. I rose unsteadily, the echoes of their gratitude still resonating within me. The shadows in the cellar now sparkled with light, transforming the atmosphere. I felt a renewed sense of purpose, a guardian of their story. With one final glance back, I stepped out of the cellar, moving into the light of the hallway. The walls no longer felt like barriers. They seemed to hum with life and vibrant history. This wasn't just a house anymore. It was a sanctuary, a testament to resilience against the darkness where love had prevailed. The journey wasn't over. It was merely a new beginning, a commitment to carry forth the legacy of those who had come before me. The weight of newfound purpose settled firmly on my shoulders as I emerged from the cellar. The air above felt lighter, filled with a sense of clarity that had previously eluded me in this place. Each step I took through the hallway resonated with a vibrant hum, the walls no longer just barriers, but a living tapestry of stories interwoven with love and loss. I paused at the family portrait hanging in the main room, the faces of the mother and child now appearing brighter, their smiles radiant as if they finally found peace. It was time to share their story with the world, to ensure that no one ever forgot the power of love in the face of darkness. But I knew there was more to do. Just as I turned to leave the room, something glimmered in the corner of my eye, a soft light emanating from the back door, inviting me to explore further. I felt that familiar resonance stir within me, a gentle urging that propelled me forward. Curiosity igniting, I took a step toward the door, its surface warm beneath my touch. Opening it, I was met with the expansive beauty of the backyard, overgrown and wild, but blooming with life. A wooden swing hung from a tree, swaying gently in the breeze, and wildflowers danced along the edges of the lawn. I settled on the swing, allowing the motion to ground me, an anchor to my thoughts as I considered what lay ahead. "I have to do this for you," I murmured, gazing at the sky painted with sunset hues. "Your story will be told." Suddenly, the air shimmered with energy, and I saw the silhouettes of the spirits enveloping the yard, watching over their cherished space, souls intertwined with the history of this land. I closed my eyes, reaching out my senses to connect with them. A gentle whisper brushed past my ear, and I felt their approval, urging me to continue. Inspired, I felt compelled to document what had transpired. The discovery of the diary had illuminated the path, but my promise to the mother and child resonated deeper. It needed to be shared in a way that could inspire. I needed to immortalize their story, allowing their voices to echo through time. As dusk settled, I returned inside, moving toward a desk laden with dust. I found a notebook, and with trembling hands, I began to write. I dedicated the pages to the family, recounting the events that had unfolded, the diary's revelations, and the confrontation against the darkness that had plagued them for so long. With every word, I pen a legend I carved into the pages, a tale of despair transformed into hope, where love overcomes the shadows, illuminating the corners of even the darkest homes. The writing flowed effortlessly, the words almost leaping onto the page as if guided by the spirits around me. I lost track of time, the night deepening as I continued to etch their truth, connecting the dots between the whispers of the past and what lay ahead. Moments turned to hours, and when I finally glanced up, I was greeted by a spectacular sight, a shimmering light cascading into the room through the window. The spirits gathered, filling the corners of the space with warmth, their expressions tranquil as they glided in unison, a translucent dance of gratitude. "You honor us," the mother's voice reached me anew, gentle yet affirming. "Thank you for championing our story." Just then, something within me deepened. The urgency of my mission crystallized into sharp focus. "I need to tell others," I told the spirits, my heart racing. "There are countless souls lost in their own darkness, waiting to be saved by love. This knowledge cannot remain buried. It must be shared widely." Encouragement from the spirits enveloped me, their energy merging with newfound determination. The notion of crafting my own narrative grew beyond my personal experience. It linked to every story of love and fortitude hidden in the shadows, waiting for someone to unearth them. Once I completed the initial draft, I gathered my thoughts. "This is just the beginning," I whispered, resolving to reach those who may need inspiration and hope the most. The warmth of the spirits wrapped around me, reinforcing my vision. I started mapping out plans for a website, a communal refuge where people could share their encounters, tales of bravery against the darkness, and insights from their own journeys. "We'll build a community, a beacon against despair," I declared, feeling the sensation of their approving presence. As the idea blossomed in my mind, it instilled a sense of purpose. a resurgence of strength to share the narratives from spirits both known and unknown. But I knew I couldn't do it alone. I would need help. People who understood the intricacies of supernatural encounters, tales of loss, and ultimately, the transformation of despair into hope. The spirits swirled around the room, tending to the energy they had cultivated, and I could feel their excitement flowing within me. Soon, you'll flourish, I promised them. Your legacy will not fade. It will inspire generations. The light from the window intensified, creating a calming ambiance bathed in golden hues. I took a moment to breathe, to appreciate the space I had awakened, the love now woven into its very essence. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a final blaze of color, I crouched beside the porch, looking out at the wildflowers swaying softly in the evening breeze. "This was your home," I whispered, "and it will be a refuge once again." A sense of catharsis settled over me. The burden of the past had shifted, making way for something profoundly beautiful to emerge. I would honor those lost and celebrate those still living. Over the following days, I dove headfirst into my project, gathering local stories that echoed within the community, adding layers to the online refuge I envisioned. I reached out to friends, inviting them to share their encounters, to become part of the larger narrative of transformation. Before long, the website took shape, filled with tales of bravery, messages of hope, and evidence of love that shattered the darkness. As the first few stories trickled in from others, I felt another surge of energy, a beacon igniting in the lives of those who shared their truths. As I continued to weave their stories into the fabric of our community, the words of the mother echoed in my mind, a reminder of the love we all crave, the courage inherent in vulnerability. This is what healing looks like, I thought, envisioning a growing tapestry of interconnected spirits. Weeks passed, and I kept returning to the house, each visit charged with gratitude and awe, where shadows had once loomed, but love had triumphed instead. I watched the new stories unfold on the website, connecting with hearts yearning for solace. And then one day, as I lounged on the swing, enjoying the tranquility of the yard, I realized that the once haunted whispers of the house had now transformed into a reverberation of joy, a celebration of resilience. I closed my eyes and let the breeze wash over me, reflecting the journey that had unfolded. The spirits had found peace, and through them, so had I. No longer steeped in darkness, this house was vibrant, a sanctuary signaling love's endless power, a beacon for anyone seeking to rise above despair. In that moment, I understood. My life was forever entwined with theirs, our narratives woven together for eternity. And as I authored my own story, I remained a guardian of their legacy, assured that love always prevails over darkness, illuminating even the deepest shadows. As weeks turned into months, the house transformed into a vibrant hub for stories of hope and healing. I organized gatherings in the backyard, inviting friends and community members to share their experiences, forming connections through our shared narratives. Each gathering revealed new chapters of resilience, reinforcing our collective strength. The yard became a sanctuary filled with laughter and warmth. One sunny afternoon, I prepared the space for a special event, stringing lights above the gathering area and arranging tables adorned with flowers. The atmosphere buzzed with anticipation as people arrived, eager to share their journeys from darkness to light. When the sun began to set, I welcomed everyone, sitting them down in a circle under the radiant colors of dusk. As I began to speak, I could feel their eyes on me, their energy a tapestry of curiosity and hope. This gathering is a testament to our resilience and our shared experiences, I announced, urging everyone to feel the warmth of the community surrounding them. In this space, we celebrate the power of our stories. As stories flowed freely, the air thick with raw emotion, I became aware of the transformative energy encapsulating us. Each person contributed a thread woven from pain, love, and healing. and gradually, it became clear that we were part of something larger than ourselves. Names and faces merged into a collective unity built by honesty. A child among us raised her hand, curiosity dancing in her eyes. "Can you tell us about the spirits?" she asked innocently, her question cutting through the somber veil of the evening. I smiled, appreciating her naivety and hope. "Yes, they are here with us," I assured her, recounting my experiences, the haunting presence that had turned into comfort and guidance. Everyone listened intently, transfixed by the story that connected their struggles to something beautiful. At the end of the evening, the warmth radiating from the flames of our gathering drifted through the air, and we lit candles, allowing the flickering flames to symbolize hope. Together, we silently reflected, absorbed in our interwoven legacies of survival. As the cycle of meetings continued, I received an unexpected email from a local mental health organization. They were intrigued by the stories shared on the website and sought to collaborate on workshops aimed at helping others navigate their own dark moments. Excitement surged within me. This was an opportunity to reach even more people, to expand the sanctuary we were building. I eagerly accepted their invitation to create workshops where storytelling would become a therapeutic tool, guiding participants as they unearthed their own narratives. The first workshop was set to take place within weeks. The morning of the event arrived, and a blend of nervous energy and excitement enveloped me. When participants began to arrive, their bright faces ignited a sense of hope and possibility. Together we engaged in storytelling exercises, encouraging all to share their truth and embrace vulnerability. I felt the spirits surrounding us, nudging, comforting, empowering us to forge connections. Over the weeks, the workshops flourished. As participants shared their experiences of grief, loss, and love, I watched them build bridges of understanding. The power of our stories filled the air with a palpable energy, eliminating the isolation that had once shadowed our lives. Patrons left each workshop with flickering candles, tokens of unity that ignited hope on their journey ahead. Each passing week reinforced the notion that our pasts and struggles could connect us, revealing pathways to healing even in our darkest moments. Months later, the house radiated a spirit of joy, laughter, and connection, thriving with human energy. Where shadows once lingered, now children played and adults found solace in shared stories, as the space pulsed with warmth and love. One chilly evening, as I stood at the threshold of the house, watching the stars gleam above, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. The spirits who had once haunted these halls had now become guiding forces, whispering tales of strength and resilience. I closed my eyes, feeling the cool breeze against my skin, and remembered my journey from despair to hope. And in that quiet moment, it was clear that the stories forged here would echo through time, a lasting reminder of the triumph of love over despair. Together, we had transformed this house into more than just a building. It had become a beacon of light for all who sought to break free from darkness, a place where every shared narrative illuminated paths toward healing and unity. I knew that this journey was far from over. Our stories would continue to spread, and as a guardian of their legacy, I vowed to keep sharing, inspiring, and helping others find their own way to rise above the shadows, assured that love would always guide us forward.